radio frequencies to be harmful, but unfortunately, all this money has gone into screen devices inside the classroom, and it's been shown here and internationally that screen devices actually don't improve learning. And through studies, we found that we've actually kids have studied. Students have students have demonstrated lower scoring when they're on screen devices versus traditional learning. So there's a lot of different things to be concerned about. I'm not going to get into this next one, but it's worth mentioning the harmful effects of blue light that are emitted from screen devices. And that's recognized in the medical arena as a serious circadian rhythm disruptor, which also contributes to a lot of negative health effects. So that was kind of a brief overview of how, I guess, schools in the US have been completely saturated with this technology and why and how it's been funded. So, you know, some of the things that you can do if you're interested in speaking with your specific school district or school university is to speak to the directors, ask them, you know, how is the internet provided? Is it wired or wireless? How many routers do you have per classroom? What are their thoughts on wiring? You know, that's really the best way to avoid any exposure is to wire the classrooms, wire the devices inside the classrooms. So you can discuss, you know, different solutions for mitigating that, like better practices, which is to just turn off the actual device and also the router, the wireless router, excuse me, when you're not using it, which is a really easy way of just lessening your exposure throughout the day. There's no reason for it to be on if you're not using it. One of the other ways is to make sure that the router has a power switch which is accessible, so you can turn it off and on. So a lot of times you will be able to turn off, let's say, your iPad or laptop, but you won't be able to turn off the router, which is still emitting constantly. So you want to be able to, you know, shut that off. And schools really just don't even think about it in that way. Some other things to think about too is like charms and EMF blockers that a lot of parents will use for their kids. Honestly, you know, it's been proven that it's not effective. The only real way and proven way is to actually turn off the device and to stop the signal. So again, there's a few ways of doing that, which is to turn off the device or put it in airplane mode. There are other shielding cases, almost creating like a Faraday cage, which are useful. And that kind of just encloses the signal in that pouch. That's probably a good recommendation for kids that are carrying their cell phone or laptop to school, especially girls keeping it in their pocketbooks. You probably want to get something like that if they're not going to remember to turn off their devices or put it in airplane mode. And another good way is just to make sure that when you are using a wireless laptop or iPad, you're using it in, you know, the manufacturer's recommended use. So it's a laptop, it shouldn't be in your lap, it should be on the desk and away from your chest as far as possible, kind of at arm's length. Another good thing is to provide your child with an iPad holder, you know, some kind of stand. They don't provide that at all at school. You know, it's not even considered. It really shouldn't be held in your hand. It shouldn't, you know, because kids are just going to take it and put it in their lap again, you know, bringing exposure closer and closer to their body. So those are good ways you can mitigate, yourself, and also recommend to the school that they purchase these things. Especially iPads, that's the recommended way to use it. It really shouldn't be on the body. It should always be, away from the body. And there's limits there as far as how far away in the fine print. You just have to look for it. So of course, getting other parents involved, getting your community, if there's a PTA, in a very respectful way. A lot of people just don't know about it. They're not educated yet. So you really have to start from square one and, bring this to everyone's attention, because it is a concern, and it should be discussed amongst the community. There's always, more power in numbers, and unfortunately, school boards and districts are going to be, more keen to leaning towards if a whole bunch of moms and parents, come and start, complaining and bringing attention to this versus than just one person. So Citizens for 5G Awareness has a great resource to help you on this. It's available on our website under the Activist Toolkit. There's a section for schools. It has a list of all of the things that I brought up tonight. In addition to science and studies, there's template letters, there's doctor letters. So much, a wealth of information there to get you started. So, just to let you know, and specific to New York, that, the fight is strong, especially within the school district. Patty Wood and Doug at Crisis for 5G are just, amazing. They helped get awareness to NYSUT, the New York State United Teachers Union, which created their own white paper guidelines. They did an expert panel webinar. New Jersey also, their teachers union also put out white paper resolution, and all across the country, really, from California to, from east to west coast. So, it's important to know, because you don't want to go in there with basically, an empty suitcase. You want to know, that you have tools in that briefcase to actually, show these people and be able to have somebody backing you, whether you know it or not. People are aware of it. It takes a really long time, but there are resources out there that are important to the school districts. So another good one is the New York State PTA created their own resolution in 2014, specifically on cell towers and radio frequency, and within the proximity of schools and the dangers it poses to children. Another really great topic, an important topic to speak to your school districts about, is cell tower placement. Do they have a policy on that? How far away, or would they be comfortable with a cell tower next to their property? Are they entertaining any current deals? Has anyone approached them? So a lot of times with schools and cell towers, the companies will come in and give an incentive to build something up. Could be, special lighting for the football field. It could be other monies. Obviously, there's, rental agreement and incentive there in and of itself. But you really want to get your school district on board to say no, be aware of it, and hopefully get your community involved. Again, it's just important not to be, the only one talking about it. Some other schools in the country that have actually changed school policy on it. Ashland Public School District in Massachusetts follows the Better Practices method, which is to turn off the devices when they're not used and only turning them on when they're in use. Waldorf schools in Minneapolis have removed Wi-Fi altogether and have gone completely wireless. And the second largest school district in the nation Los Angeles Unified School District set their standards far lower than the FCC allowed limit. And they were featured in the Generation Zap video, the documentary. And, you know, it's really important that they did their own research and, you know, made changes to benefit everybody, staff and students. And just to touch on, I guess, some other states as well, like Maryland, New Hampshire, and some other East Coast states, they're, you know, trying to write up bills to protect children from this, especially in your school setting. So there's, again, all this stuff you can find on the Activist Toolkit that we have on our page. Really great information.